Hi everyone, I'm Fatima Rodriguez Al-Makhim, and this is my presentation for differentiated instruction. My first slide, we're going to answer what is differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction refers to the different strategies that teachers use to help students learn content. This also refers to the ways teachers know that students have learned the content. So this can refer to different types of assessment. How do teachers differentiate instruction? Teachers can differentiate in many ways. This refers to like how the information is taught, like whole group, small group, how the work is done, traditional paper pencil, Kagan cooperative methods, and also how we assess their knowledge, standard assessments, projects, different work that they do in class, group work, other things. The next slide will address how teachers prepare the students and the classroom for differentiated instruction. Now, when I read about this and learned about it, I thought, wow, like differentiated instruction takes a lot of preparation on the teacher's part, a lot of thought to prepare the classroom. Firstly, preparation takes, it involves preparing materials, arranging your room, do I have students sitting the way that I would like them to, like if we're going to use Kagan, to have them in groups of 4? Is my room set out for that? Their movement, if you're working with, young students and they're doing things with music and movement, is my room arranged for that? And the students' movement for safety, nothing's in the way. How you're going to pass out materials, how you're going to monitor what the groups are doing. That takes a lot of thought process and just preparing your classroom. And also to prepare the students, like preparing students for being in your classroom in general just starts out with training them to know your classroom rules, to know the norms that you're setting out and what you expect in your room. And then also so that they know what they're responsible for doing while they're working in groups or they're working individually. They need to know the expectations that each teacher has, so they're not set up for failure when they're put into some situation to work. And if they know their expectations, then they can produce and do what they're supposed to do. What does differentiated instruction look like in the classroom? On this slide, you're going to see that I made kind of like a brainstorming web, and I put different things that I thought were important in differentiated instruction. Now, what I take away from this a lot is that differentiated instruction can really differ, and every situation, 2 teachers may be teaching the same thing, but it's going to be completely different for each teacher because they may present the information in different ways and they may do different activities, and it may all just be on the same content. So some of the things that I thought were the most important to differentiated instruction in the classroom: for one, 100% student engagement. You really need students to be engaged so that you know that they're learning to the optimal, if they're engaged to their optimal point. Everyone, auditory, visual, hands-on learners. And then that different types of instructions, whole group, small group, stations, different ways of presenting different information is going to support all students learning. And having activities that support their different learning styles. Again, like I said, visual learners, auditory learners, and hands-on learners. If you can have different methods for teaching the same thing that involve all 3 different learning styles, will help everyone learn the content knowledge and make sure that everyone is learning to their best. And giving plenty of opportunities for students to demonstrate their knowledge is key. Students need opportunities to practice, and if they're given opportunities to practice, then that's going to give them opportunities to master the content, the knowledge that they need. Me personally, I think that manipulatives are really great in differentiated instruction. I think that if they can build or they can show or make, it really shows that they can, if they can do it themselves, then they can show someone else to do it. And which goes into like Kagan cooperative learning groups. Kagan is great for students helping other students, and that shows mastery of certain skills as well. If they can show someone else, then you know that they know how to do it. And I think that those things, 100% student engagement, different types of instruction, activities that support the different learning styles, opportunities for students to demonstrate their knowledge, the use of manipulatives, and cooperative learning groups are probably some of the most important things that you can see in the classroom in regards to differentiated instruction. But like I said, I really think that it'll be different for every classroom in every situation. So now we're going to look at some examples. And I just added on this slide a quote that I thought was really important in regards to differentiated instruction. And it says that if a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way we learn, the way they learn. So it's really important into tapping into their little minds and doing what's best for them. In my next slide, the first example that we're going to look at is delivering instruction primarily by lecture. Lecture is good, but it can be better if we could do some different things. I have listed like showing a video, cooperative learning groups, and hands-on activities. This to make sure that we're tapping into the different learning styles of all the students. Not everybody is an auditory learner, so not everybody will learn just from hearing what's said in a lecture. Some of them may learn by hearing the information, and then seeing a video may help them like, oh yeah, I get that. And hands-on, for our friends that are hands-on learners, that's really great. Those are just some things that I think would make lecture a little bit better. Now, for a student that does not allow students to have to retake tests, they have failed. I think this is really big in regards to, does the student have responsibility in what they've done? Now, if we don't let kids retake tests or look at tests that they have failed, I think that it's really important to be a reflective teacher, so then it shows on the teacher, oh, I did something or I missed out on something that might have helped them learn that information, that might have helped them pass that test. So first of all, I think to make that better would be to reteach the content with a different teaching strategy, making sure that we're trying to hit the content in a way that is understandable for that particular student. And that may not mean, and it definitely doesn't mean doing it again the way we did it. It means add something different. Grab another piece of the puzzle to help them learn that information. And again, offering practice opportunities, like have them do an activity in a Kagan group so that they can learn and hear the information from another student, and maybe they'll connect that information that way. But giving them opportunities to practice gives them opportunities to master and then recheck for mastery. So giving them, maybe not necessarily a test, giving them a project. Make something. Show me that you know what this means. It doesn't necessarily have to be a test, but making sure. The important thing is that they learn the concepts, they learn the content information that they need so that they can be lifelong learners. And on the next slide, we look at grouping students by previous year's test scores. This is, it's a big one. We never know, and we have no control over what the students did or what happened the year before. So we have to come in with a fresh start, a fresh look at, oh, every student can learn. Let me meet this student. Let me learn their personality. Let me do what I can for them. And so grouping them by what they've done the year before doesn't give you a fresh look at them. I think the best thing in this situation that a teacher could do would be to retest at the beginning of the year and see where they are. Looking at test scores from last year doesn't allow for that regression that happens over summer. So we need to test at the beginning of the year and see where they are when they walk in the door. And, sometimes from anecdotal notes when you're interacting with the kids, that can really help place and say, you know, maybe they didn't get it, but I know they will get it. And it lets you really just learn the kids better. Testing at the beginning of the year is such a big deal when it comes to grouping students for groups or instruction in general. The next slide, we're looking at giving bonus points for classroom participation. The way I interpreted this information, giving bonus points for classroom participation, makes me think that, you know, this is going to affect their grade, and giving bonus points just because they participate doesn't necessarily mean that they have mastered content and information. So, you know, offering positive reinforcement, hey, good job participating, being positive in their answers even if they're wrong, is a better way than giving bonus points for classroom participation. And that, like I said, this is just because of how I interpreted that statement. Also, at our school, I work at McCarter Elementary School in Topeka, Kansas. Our school we have a classroom reward system and we have a school reward system. So we're giving out Mustang money. They're little tickets, and you know, it's for everything. It's for participating. It's for being a respectful, responsible, and ready learner. And so those are things that they can earn coupons for, but not necessarily anything that goes towards their grade. It may go for bringing a stuffed animal to school, or earning extra recess or iPad time or something similar. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get points towards their grade, which can be a little misconceiving sometimes, where you may think of, oh, this is them understanding knowledge, and it may not necessarily mean that sometimes. On the next slide, giving a test every Friday. For one, I don't want to sound like a lazy person or like I'll be a lazy teacher, but that's a lot of preparation, a lot of prep that may be, you can prepare a lot better for your instruction and have better use of that time than preparing to give a test every Friday. For one, a lot of kids get test anxiety and they don't want to hear anything about taking a test. But you can create activities for the students to participate in that provide the same information. For example, I've seen in a classroom, you know, when we're wanting to know if the kids can count to in a preschool, 4-year-old at-risk preschool, we're wanting to see if the kids, how far the kids can count. So we're having them count friends, the number of students that are here today. So that student, everyone else is quiet, that student goes and counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And that helps us know whether they know the concept of rote counting or not. And it's not necessarily something that gives them, not necessarily that gives them anxiety, like as a test, we're putting you on the spot in front of paper and pencil or something like that, because the teacher is helping them. Everybody gets a chance, and it's something that goes on daily, routinely in the classroom. Also, I think that instead of giving a test every Friday, you could allow the students to make different types of projects, you know, book reports if you're working with older kids, art projects, depending, you know, on the age level or whatever, to see their mastery of the content, instead of giving a test every Friday. And every Friday doesn't allow for much growth. I mean, that would be good to see every week what they're doing right or wrong, where they need help, but that doesn't give them a lot of room for growth. I think instead of spending time on the test, you could spend time working with a small group and targeting, you know, kids that need the help the most, versus spending time giving them a test. So that is it. Thank you for listening to me talk about differentiated instruction. Thanks for watching. If you have any ideas or information for me, please send it my way. Thanks.